always, always, always bet on stupid in this game. The first thing is to get channel commander set up. Now, it kind of seems like a trivial type of task to do and to do during one of these training fleets. But the most important thing that you'll find as an HK is communication with your FC. The more you communicate, the better you communicate, the more information that you can give your FC, the better choices your FC can make. As a hunter, you're just there to find targets, ask the FC if you want it tackled or not. Best option is to tackle first and ask questions later as always. But as you're doing all this, you need to relay to the FC what's going on. And so to do this, we use Channel Commander because open comms sometimes is not the best, specifically for the armadas. So if everyone wants to go ahead and tab out, so that way you're looking at your TeamSpeak 3. So if you are tabbed out into TeamSpeak 3, if you want to go up to the Tools button, the Tools tab, and then click it, and at the very, 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 very bottom is going to be the Options tab. Do this with you guys, so I'm telling you as I'm doing it myself. So once the Option tab is open, you have a button over to the left-hand side that will be Whisper. Go ahead and click on it. Now directly next to the Whisper to the right is a new tab that is Whisper Lists. Go ahead and click on it, and a new window will open, which is your Whisper List tab. Now on this, what you need to do is under your local Whisper Lists, add a new button. You want that new button to be something different than your open comms key. So for me, for example, I use control, my left control is open comms, and then I use my right alt button as my channel commander. So that way I keep it kind of separated between the two. You can set it up obviously however you want to set it up, I don't care. So go ahead and add a new button. I'll give everyone a couple seconds to go ahead and add a new button and everything. Once you've added that new button, directly to the right of it's a couple other little tabs that we need to fill in. So your hotkey and your reply hotkey should be the same button as the new local Whisper list key that you've added. That means it's the hotkey that you actually key up on, and your replying key. So if someone whispers to you directly, you reply to them with that same button. We can set it up differently, but that's the most convenient and easiest way to do it. So once you set up those three keys right there as the same key, underneath is Whisper 2. You want that to go to Groups. Directly under that is Group Whisper Type, and you want that to go to Channel Commander. And then directly underneath that is Group Whisper Targets, and you want that to go to all channels. And that means that we could be up in like the website crew or the BB Hangout and have Channel Commander active. And if we were to talk on Channel Commander, everyone who has Channel Commander active on their TeamSpeak would be able to hear us. So it allows the hunters to go to a different channel in case it's a big fleet, so that way they can coordinate things and not tie up comms too terribly much. So go ahead and hit OK, hit apply, hit OK, so those two tabs are gone. Now on TeamSpeak 3, the main deal, if you right click your name, and then about 6 buttons down, there's a new thing that will be active for you, and it's called Channel Commander. Once you click on it, your icon will change from a bright blue to an orange button. Chatting on Channel Commander now. Before I talk, you'll hear a psst. So that means that you can hear that it's Channel Commander versus open comms.
That can be disabled.
It can be. There's also things out there that you can download, so that way Channel Commander is more prevalent than open comms. There are add-ons to TeamSpeak 3 that you can look through their add-on page. It looks like everyone has access to Channel Commander, which is great on that. Hopefully you are all able to hear me, and if y'all just want to key up real quick.
Hello.
Yellow.
Hi.
Sweet. Okay, perfect.
Watch for your keying up. A lot of you did not key up into Channel Commander. You keyed up into Open Comms.
Alright.
And you'll see a Whisper list history, and so you can tell if you keyed up or not. You can go through it and you can see your name.
I cannot see my own name, but I have...
Oh, I guess you probably can, yeah. That's right, you can't see your own name.
Damn you, confused.
But you can see who's talking, and that's also a good way to keep that open. I tend to keep it right next to TeamSpeak, so when I'm mid-fleet, I can see if someone's talking on Channel Commander versus Open Comms. Specifically, if you turn off the psh type deal. So that's going to be Channel Commander. Anytime you join a fleet and you're going to be hunting, you just need to let your FC know that you are going to be hunting. They'll give you this Channel Commander option. You don't have to do the tools and the option crap anymore. All you'll have to do at this point now is just click on your name and turn your button from blue to orange, and then you're good to go on that. The other channel that we use is our local BB-HK channel. And that's an in-game channel that we use. And what we use with that is, so a range map will be posted there, and each hunter will pick out their own specific target system that they're going to. And so there's no point in having 3 people go to the same system, or even go to the same little pocket of systems. So once someone links a system in that is their desto. And you don't want to go there. You don't want to go in that direction. You want to do your best to go in the opposite direction if you can. Lately, we've had a lot of people kind of stepping on each other's toes these last couple fleets. So the biggie is, if you see someone going towards like a left-hand corner pocket, that you want to go to like a right-hand top pocket type deal, or just in a general different direction. It covers more ground. It allows you to hit targets before you get popped up on intel quicker. And there's just no point in having 2 hunters go to the same area. It doesn't do any good.
No,
so,
that's just something you'll kind of work out between yourselves, like kind of informally in the channel,
mm-hmm.
or
yep, informally in the channel, and you guys can chat about it on Channel Commander, that kind of deal. If you start jumping certain systems and you notice like a hunter's in every single local with you, you ask in HK just like, hey, what system are you going to? And if it's the same as you, it's a hunter thing. Like, if someone's going to the same area, just pick somewhere different. It's not set in stone that that's your system that you have to go to it. And there's generally lots of good systems to hit up, and work with your fellow hunters. Don't be selfish and whatnot. Like me specifically, I'm an okay hunter, but like Marshy is a lot better than I am. So if I know that there's going to be a good system, and we both kind of link it at the same time, I'm going to let him go to it, because his chances of providing content for the fleet is higher than my chance of providing content and being able to catch a target. So that kind of, if you see a certain system that is a Rourke system or a carrier system, and that there's a better hunter than you, or if you're like in a buzzard or a prospect and they're in a T3 cruiser, let the T3 cruiser go towards the good system and go pick up whatever you can. So let's go ahead and go over ship setups and ship types. For the main part, you're always going to hear us push T3 cruisers. T3 cruisers are going to be your best bet in the long run. You can use things like prospects, buzzards, Arizoos, some of the other coverty type ships if you would like. But what you're going to find is that you're going to lose out on a lot of targets because you're not quick enough, warp speed wise, and just in general, bubbles, gate camps, things along those lines are really going to fuck you up. Same thing with like prospects, the buzzards tackling a carrier or a Rourke. If they have their defensive, like if they have their defensive measures out, fighters, their NSA going and whatnot on the carrier, they're going to lock you instantly. and they're going to kill you in one little volley. So the survivability on those ships is very, very low. Now, the advantages of those ships, though, are that they are generally significantly cheaper. So if you're on a budget or you're not good about getting SRP from the Hunter Care, things along those lines, going with a cheaper ship, or just even to figure out what you're doing in the start, going with a cheaper ship can be beneficial. So your skill level better than all of us. You kind of know your experience level on what you've done in this game versus what you haven't. And so it's kind of on you to make a judgment call on that. But if you want to become a long-term hunter, at the moment, before we see what all the nerfs are to the T3 cruisers, the big push is towards T3 cruisers, specifically towards the Tengu. Tengu, you warp the quickest, you have the lowest align time, and you have a crap ton of mid slots that you can kind of deck it out how you want to. You can do blingoos, you can do other little stuff as well. So again, it's kind of on you on that deal, but I will highly, highly suggest using the T3 cruiser. I've tried hunting and scepters and other little things, and yes, they do work. I've had the most luck with the T3 cruiser, and they tend to be able to live the longest. Because we're not in a fleet, I'm just going to link some stuff in BB Local.
There's the 100 MN broadsword Onyx as well.
Yes, you can definitely do that as well if you'd like. Personally, it's just personal preference on that one.
Well, and that's a little bit beyond the scope of a basic hunter class.
The dock, because I don't have my normal Tengu fit saved. So those are a couple Tengus I've linked. One's going to be the, I call it the Blingu, because it's the Gist X-type XL booster. That one you can hunt DD site runners with it. Your survivability is actually greater than all of the other Tengus that I will link, but it's also the most expensive. So it's on your side on that to fly it. I personally, the one I like flying is the one I just linked just now. It's the XLAB one. So the advantage of the XLB is it's significantly cheaper than the Blingu, but you have your cap charges. So as soon as you run out of your cap charges, that ship is fucked. So, part of it is knowing that you have 9 charges, and that's what you're going to get off of it. The middle one, the middle Tengu that I linked, is the buffer fit Tengu. So the buffer fit Tengu is definitely not preferenced on my end. They die really quickly. You don't have any shield boosting ability whatsoever. So it's not my preference. But again, you can fly it. There are uses for it. But if you tackle a carrier or anything too big, you're just not going to live very long. We also have people that like to do Proteuses. I hate Proteuses as hunters, mainly because they have no rep ability of their own, so they require the fleet to rep them after the engagement, and God, it sucks.
Oh, that hurts. That hurts.
Yeah.
That and their armor tanks. Guys, I've seen with armor reps, and which is rare because even our Lynx pilot fit for shields because there's so many shield fits.
I mean, I fly Proteuses as a hunter, and the biggest thing, if you don't want to worry about having reps in fleet, bring a mobile depot with a medium repper on you. You will have time after you drop on something. It means you can't fit a bubble, but it's not the end of the world by any means.
Actually, a good idea.
Kyle, why do you prefer using a gravitational capacitor instead of an interdiction nullifier?
On the Blingu?
Yeah.
Now with the bubble changes, and you can change it, you can put the interdiction nullified on it, but with that Blingu, you want to keep one of those in your cargo hold. So that way, in case you get trapped in a pocket and they put up sabers and stuff, you can get out. But because, for the main part, the bubble changes, we really don't see bubbles near as much. You're so quick with one of those ships, if you do land on a bubble, you can just burn right back to the gate, no problem. So again, that's kind of preference versus hunter style. The Blingu fit is more for hunting DD site runners, whereas the last one I linked is more for whale hunting, is the way I look at it. So you can do it either way. And yes, not Prospect, the Proteus is a great ship to run. So like if you've already got T3 cruiser skills like for Galante, don't bother going and training up the Tengu skills unless you really want to. Like, go ahead and hunt a Proteus. It's not a big deal. It's just a little slower to align, a little slower to warp. The advantage is, though, with the scan acquisition array, you are much quicker to find targets. So it's kind of on that whole side. And El Kala, sorry, I didn't even notice the open realm question there. So if you're low on skill points, I would tell you train the scanning skills first. Go scanning skills, go for like a Prospect or a Buzzard, and then work your way into a T3 cruiser, because you won't ever lose your scanning skills, and scanning skills will be useful to you outside of Bomber's Bar fleets, whereas a Tengu may not be useful to you outside of Bomber's Bar fleets. I find uses for them if you go exploring, there's all sorts of random things that you can find to do with them. But if you're not into Explo, certain other little random PvP things that you don't like doing, you might not have much of a use for a Tengu, but I guarantee you will have use for scanning skills. And scanning skills are super important on this. Getting everything to level 4 on your scanning skills definitely is useful. Getting some of those to level 5, some of the train time sucks on them, but it is definitely worth it.
Yeah, are there any particular ones worth getting to 5, like specific ones?
Acquisition, or the main one that does 3 at once. Mm-hmm. And that one's actually extremely important to have at 5. It does such a huge difference when your other ones have 4. That.
Yep.
So was that astrometric acquisition, yeah?
Yeah, the scan time.
Oh, yes. So as well as the strength, the time's important as well, is it?
Strength is important, but even at level 4, if you scan at an 8 AU, you're going to almost always get carriers in one hit. So your goal is not necessarily to be... Yes, strength to scan is important, but speed to get yourself on grid is even more important. So if you're going to scan down like a carrier in 1 on level 4 versus level 5 pinpointing, it's better then to train for the acquisition first, because then you'll scan a little quicker, even if you're at level 4 on the pinpointing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's cool. It gives me an idea what to train. Cool.
Okay.
I'd go as far as to say that if you haven't done a hell of a lot of scanning, you absolutely have to spend time practicing, whether it's just scanning cosmic signatures just for the hell of it or whatever. But and the reason I say that is you will find that practice will make perfect on that. Your muscle memory will get much, much better, and set up hotkeys as well, and you'll get significantly faster the more you do it.
Yes, and that was also definitely on my scanning bit that I tell you guys, the hotkeys makes a huge difference. So I've changed the A key instead of being a line to lower my scan size, the S key to increase it, and then D to actually scan. So I'm using my mouse button to move the little circle of everything around, and I use 3 buttons to increase, decrease, and scan. It saves you that time of when you are dragging your bubble of your scan probes to a target and then back onto the button where you hit your scan, plus the little wheel that you need to, increase and decrease it. it may only seemingly save you maybe like 1 or 2 or half of a second. But that 1 or 2 seconds that it saves you may be the time it takes for you to get on grid and lock a target. Like, you literally have almost no time once you've entered the system to get on grid with a target.
And are you going to talk about scanning separately, Cal, or are you doing that now?
That's fine, I guess.
One other tip I can offer there is it's well worth setting up a custom filter for the results to only include larger ships. So you don't get loads of junk like frigates and that kind of crap and POS trash showing up in your scan.
Yep. Under your scan window, make sure that you have the like citadels clicked on, so that way you know if you're accidentally warping to a citadel or not. It's pretty obvious once you start scanning whether or not a target's at a anomaly or if they're sitting at like a POS. You know, if it scans and it comes up green on a planet, 99% of the time they're inside of a POS at that point. I still like to warp to people and check it out just in case, but normally you kind of get screwed on that side.
Yeah, on my kind of blops hunting filter, I've got larger classes of ships in it, but I've got frigates and small stuff not in it. But I've got POSs are in it, citadels are in it, and also mobile warp disruptors are in it too. And it'll help you to narrow down things more quickly.
Mm-hmm. The other thing I can tell you too when you're scanning, and these some of these things may seem like they're very logical, but you may not think about them until you actually start doing it. So on my scan window, for example, I have not only my scan probe window, so you can see your D-scan in a big circle. So upon entering the system, I'll look at my D-scan and see where it encompasses in the map. So like, let's say I enter into the center of a system and it encompasses like the first 3 or 4 planets, but maybe not planet 5 or 6. And green anomalies, places that people rat at, tend to be around planets, around other celestials. You can kind of start looking where green sites are at when you're warping system to system. And you can always tell that they're not going to be out in some random nowhere out in space sort of deal. They're always kind of clumped together in these little pockets almost. So if I enter a system and my D-scan window covers the first 4 planets and there's nothing on D-scan, I see 10 people in local, I know that there's someone out ratting or out doing something out in that system. When I drop my combat probes, there's no point in combating inside your D-scan window. You've already seen from your D-scan that there's no one in that D-scan area. So you immediately drag them and move them out to one of the outlying planets and scan in that system. Does that make sense to you guys?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So when you are scanning and you're hunting people down, it's a lot of cross-applying logic and kind of deducting as of where someone would be. So not only when you first go into a system, I like to have my anomalies clicked so I can see where all the green sites are at. I also have my D-scan bubble up so I can see where my D-scan bubble is. And upon hitting my first scan, I generally will click on my filters and exit out of the anomalies because I no longer need to see where they're at. But that's first little initial knowing that, okay, there's a bunch of green anomalies out in the outlying planets, and it's like, oh, they're hordes, or they're sanctums, or they're the good sites that people would be ratting at. It's like I know immediately that's where I want to start scanning at.
Hey, Cal, quick question.
Yeah,
if you have a carrier within your D-scan window, but let's say there's, 20, 30 sites there, which is pretty normal for nullsec, will you try and probe them down, or will you just try and D-scan them down?
I will generally keep my D-scan at 14.3, and I'll go down to 10 AU. This all takes less than a second or so. So you have to be really quick on the ball. So I'll go from 10 AU down to 5 AU. And if they are within that 10 to 5 range, I see where my bubble increases and decreases on the map pretty quickly. And it's like, okay, so that little pocket there suddenly went out of my D-scan range and I suddenly lost the carrier. I know he's going to be in one of those green celestials in that little area, and so I'll just move my probes immediately on top of those. Luckily with carriers, because they're so big, that you don't have to be real precise. It's more things like rattlesnakes, gilas, some of the ore hunter or miners and whatnot, the barges and everything that you have to be a little bit more precise about. But for the main part, carriers are pretty easy, especially if they have their NSA going. That increases their signature radius by like 5,000%, and you almost cannot miss them on your first scan. But sometimes you do, so you do need to kind of cross-apply D-scan versus combat. And again, it's about scanning things logically. So if you know that there's nothing within your D-scan range, or there's no green sites out in the furthest outlying planet, there's no reason to scan those areas because there's not going to be anyone in them. DED sites are a little different than some of the green anomaly hunting that we do. That is more for advanced hunters, and even me myself, I am not very good at DED hunting, catching people. Tigger is kind of our man at that. He is a fucking baller at it, but catching him and catching times to pick his brain and whatnot is kind of a pain in the ass. So if you warp to someone and you get a little pop-up that says like a 10 of 10 DED, until you get a little bit more skilled at hunting, or unless the FC or another hunter wants to come help you, for the main part, just ignore them until you kind of figure out what you're doing.
Active.
I should mention that as well, mentioning DED sites, and I believe that there's going to be some new Garista sites or something like that popping up at some point for new skins. Come on the 13th, maybe?
Tuesday, I think.
Yeah, I think that. Those sites, any site that has a gate to it, something that you have to activate a gate, you cannot light a cyno, not only inside the site, but outside the site on the gate. You have to be completely off grid to light a cyno. So again, that's also why DED hunting is very difficult. So even if you go into a DED, you tackle someone, and then the fleet's ready to jump in on you, unless you have a second hunter there to light a cyno outside of the DED, far away from where you're at, you can't even get the fleet in to do anything. So, and that will go with the new sites as well, because any of those sites that you can warp to on your overview, you generally cannot light a cyno in. Any questions or anything so far? Anyone? Have I lost anyone or anything like that?
Doesn't it take them too long to try DEDs? Because the fleet takes time as well to get in.
Mm-hmm.
Like the carrier has way than enough time to kill you at that point in time, right?
Well, carriers won't be in DEDs. What you'll find in DEDs is Tengus, rattlesnakes, gilas, and they're stupidly expensive. People that do DED sites think that they are completely invincible, and so you'll get like a Tengu that's worth like 4 billion ISK.
So you cannot really break through your tank in time.
Yeah, so, if you can hunt and you can catch a DED site runner, that's the best ISK that you can make in this game hunting-wise, but is also the most amount of work that you will do for a target. For example, I think Marshy caught one. Yeah, it was Marshy who caught one 2 weeks ago. Myself, Zeloff, and Marshy were all in blobs. It was one paladin, and he fought us for almost 15 minutes before we finally killed him. That's 2 sins and a redeemer versus a 1 paladin, and he
tanked that?
Tanked it for like it was nothing, yeah. And he ended up being, I think it was like a 4 billion-esque paladin, eating pills, all that crap. Crazy fucker.
So I've got a question.
Go for it.
I heard at one point somebody said they will, if they see something on their D-scan, they'll generally launch, like when they land in a system, they'll generally launch their combat probes at 16 AU or whatever and scan at that, and they'll usually hit it in a one-shot. Can you elaborate on that at all?
Yeah, and it's more 8 AU. You'll hit a carrier in one. At 16,
or yeah, maybe they said 8.
Yeah, at 16 you may hit it if it's within like kind of the center of your probes, but generally you'll get it at like 80%, and then you'll miss it on the second scan. And some of that will kind of become clear when you pop on Sissy with me and you scan down my carrier. So when you enter a system and you see on D-scan, like let's say your D-scan window is covering the very center of the system, and you see a Nidhogger plus 3 fighters out on your D-scan window, you know you don't have to scan the outline or anything else. You can just drop your probes, and you try to get your probes kind of in the center of your D-scan window, and then you just hit analyze, and pretty much you'll come up with a carrier almost every time on one. Not always, but for the main part. Like, you know, if it's on the very outline of your probes, you might not. But even then, you'll still get a good hit on it. Carriers are kind of the easier things to scan, honestly. I kind of answer your question.
Yeah.
And how much time do you usually have, like on an average carrier, to catch?
As soon as you enter system, they see your name, they see that there is a neutral or a red in system, and have either A, told their fighters to come back to their cargo hold, which is stupid, or B, they've clicked warp, and you have A, the time that it takes for them to spool up their warp drive, or if they're lined out, you have no time and they're already in the warp. And that goes for any and every ship out there. Hunting is extremely extremely frustrating. Like extremely frustrating.
What I've always said is that hunting, if everybody does things properly, you should catch no one out here. Everybody should be able to get away from you, and it's not your fault. It is them doing things okay. Not even like great, just okay.
Yeah.
It's not hard.
The ones that call their fighters back in and wait for their fighters to come into their cargo hold, those are the best, because fighters actually follow carriers, so they can just immediately hit warp and go back to their station, and the fighters will follow them. But some carriers will sit there and just wait and hang out. The best. But yeah, so figure when you come into a system, and this is also why we tell you to go with like ascendancy pods once you get good enough and know what you're doing, because the quicker you can get on grid, the more likely you are to catch a target. Your hope is that someone's not paying attention to local, that they're on comms, that they're distracted by whatever it is that they're doing, that you have enough time to scan them down. Which, as you see from most of our fleets, like the last 2 days I've hunted, I've caught like one thing, and it was nothing big. Well, I guess I could have caught an Ishtar yesterday that we turned down. Yay. I landed on...
Did you catch that Thanatos yesterday in the staging system of Blades of Grass?
I didn't, but someone else probably did, yeah. Yeah. Marshy or Zeloff.
Marshy, that's right.
Yeah, Marshy or Zeloff did. I didn't catch anything yesterday. I landed on at least 3 carriers, but you know, you see them warp off as you're landing on them. Like, god damn it.
Yeah, I didn't catch anything yesterday either.
If you do land on someone and it looks like they're about to warp, and if you're quick, just click on them with when you press C, and it will track them, and you'll see where they go to. And sometimes they'll screw up and they'll panic warp to the sun or some other celestial, and you'll be able to warp to that spot more quickly than them, and you'll catch them there.
Or I've seen it before where they'll panic warp and hit 100 instead of 0.
Yep.
So they land out of tether range to their citadel.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
So
sorry, I was going to say one more thing. Sometimes, let's say it's not a carrier, it's maybe a battleship or something else, large. it may, in some cases, they may not have a friendly citadel they can dock at, or if they do, they just don't bother going to the citadel or the station, and they might just warp around the system. And if you do that, and I did this yesterday with someone, you'll scan down the spot that they're at, you'll land on it, and then maybe they'll warp off. Just bookmark it, because sometimes people are stupid and they'll come back to the same spot. You can catch them again.
Or if they went to a safe.
I scanned down a rattlesnake the other day, landed on his site as he warped, so I, kind of followed him with your probes. You always follow stuff with your probes, especially if you land on them. You keep your probes out and you see, okay, they're headed towards planet 5. You just kind of drag your probes along with them and keep scanning them as they're going, because sometimes, you'll get their safe spots or you'll get other random stuff. So I warped a second time to this rattlesnake. No one else is in system. Land on him a second time, but he's tethered to his Fortizar. So I kind of get up behind him and I start going in for a bump. He warps back to the first site that I scanned him out in. I'm like, okay, he had to go to a pos. Like, I'm not even gonna, this guy's just fucking with me at this point. So I rescan him out, just, OCD style. And warp back to him and land on him again at his site as he warps back to the Citadel. It's like, God damn it. Always, always, always bet on stupid in this game. People in this game not only panic, but they're fucking retarded. So yeah. Okay, so let's go over the implants real quick, just in case any of you guys ever want to get into implants. Definitely wait until you've hunted for a while and implants become necessary. So like if you're landing on a bunch of targets and they're warping off, you'll want to get yourself a ascendancy set. If you are having trouble scanning down like rattlesnakes and some of those deals, you'll want to get the virtue set. In BB Open Roam chat is the virtue set there. And then I'll link the ascendancy sets. There you go for the ascendancies. Those are not required and are like a billion ISK extra for all of that crap. So like I said, it's only giving you a small % extra on everything that you do. Until it becomes necessary, I do not suggest using them. I go about 50% of the time with my ascendancy set, and I have one, but I don't always use it. It's a lot about riskifer. If I know that we have like 4 really good Falcons in fleet, I'm going to use my ascendancy set because I know I'm going to get saved pretty much no matter what happens. But if there's like 1 or 2 Falcons in fleet and it's kind of a smaller size fleet, I'm probably not going to use my ascendancy set. And that goes, riskifer with everything that you do in the hunting style. You see a bunch of targets on grid, you scan down like 3 Thanatoses, and we have a 20-man fleet. And warp to them, see if you can tackle one, but be careful. Warp at range and try and get a long point on one instead of warping at 0 and getting a scram point on something. A lot of hunting is a riskifer and using just wise judgment. The wiser the judgment that you do, the more successful you'll be. So that's going to be the implants. Let's go ahead and get on to Dotland. Dotland's the biggie that will take a little bit of time to go over with everyone, but is one of the most important tools that we use for any of these fleets. In the chat channel, again, there's EVE.land.net. If you click on that and you pop up the big Dotland deal, it's going to give you like a regional map area, combined regional, and special maps that you can click on. You can click on any of these guys and it gives you a direct mini map of the regional itself. So like I always tend to tell people, go to Pravi and click on Pravi because we go to Pravi a lot. It's a real good, easy one to take a look at. So when you've clicked on Pravi, you're going to see each little black circle with like a couple blue circles around systems. Anything that has a blue circle around the system is going to be an ice mining belt. At the very bottom right corner, there's a key that can tell you about what's happening. Pink and circled is contested. The little arrows tell you if there's research, industry, refining, offices, all that jazz that we don't really care too much about. But knowing where ice belts are at is pretty useful. Orcs like to mine in ice belts. It's how they fuel their posses and all that fun stuff out there. So it's always good to know where they're at. So that way, if you're jumping into a system, you know that, there's an ice belt in H-GK16. So when you jump into that system, you may there's a Rourke on scan. I would immediately go to the largest ice belt that there is, for example. So when we're looking at the Proby map, at the very, very, very top of the map, there's some drop-down windows directly underneath districts and donate. The first one under districts will have map info layer. You guys probably have sovereignty already pre-defaulted clicked. The three important ones that we use are going to be towards the bottom. The NPC kills 24 hours, and then the one right above it, which is the NPC kill delta. So you're using both of those little tabs right there to kind of cross-apply what good systems there are to go hit. So the NPC kill delta, if it is green, that means someone has been ratting in that system or has been actively killing stuff in that system since the last ping. You can tell when it last pinged by the very, very bottom of the page. There is an API, a J, a K, a C, an A, and then there's timestamps next to those. The one that has a K and a timestamp June 11th, 1738, that's the last time that the NPC kill delta ticked. So you know that since the previous tick of that K, for example, in VKI TAC T7, there's a plus 78. That means since the last tick, someone has been ratting in that system or actively killing things. Directly under it, though, is 49G CDAC-R. It's a negative 686. You know that someone has stopped ratting in that system because the delta is negative. That means rats are basically respawning or re-coming alive in a sense. So when you look at that, if you then cross-apply like the VKI TAC 7T, which is at the very top of the page, by the way, if you cross-apply that with the NPC kill delta 24 hours, you see that there was 5,932 kills in that system in the last 24 hours. That's a little bit lower of a number. Generally, anything over 10,000 in a 24-hour period will be a carrier system. So you know that the VKI TAC is probably not a carrier, and it's probably more rattlesnake. Some of them that are less, like in the 3,000s, are probably like VNIs, things along those lines. And so that's how you kind of cross-apply to pick what system is a good system to go hit up. So like right now, if I were to go hunt in Proby, I would first look at H9 TAC J8N, like that's a plus 414. And that's at the left lower pocket. It's a little square with a triangle sticking on the top. I give roadmaps of where I'm going. I give descriptions of like the pockets I'm going to, for example, which sometimes gets very difficult to follow if you don't know the areas as well. But that's just part of just doing the map enough. So at the bottom, you see H9 TAC J89. It's a plus 414. So if you look at the past 24-hour kills, it's only a 4,973. That's not the best. But the way that Proby is looking right now, I would bet, someone's hunting down there right now. Probably Spectre or someone like that, because all the deltas are pretty shit. So there's not a lot of good areas to go hit up. But because it's a plus 414, I would go check out the 7Y VW right above it, And same thing with the TXJ TAC LL. So that also goes along with the when you're linking stuff in the BBHK. So if someone were to link H9 TAC J8N, you would not link 7YVW because you know that the person that's hitting up H9 TAC J8N is going to hit up that entire pocket. They're not just going to hit up one system and just immediately go home. They're going to go hit that system and then check out the 4 or 5 surrounding systems. So when you're looking at this, do you guys all see the pockets I'm kind of talking about? How, like towards the left, the 8B TAC VLX, how there's like a little square pocket right there to check out. Or at the very, very top, there's that little circular pocket that has the I-M GAB, that's a negative 452. So those are pockets. So know that when you are hunting and you're looking for something, that you're going to an entire pocket. You're not just going to just set one specific system. You are going to one specific desto. That's like your main objective, but it's always worth to check around in those areas because you just never know. So then the other thing that we're going to look at then on this Dotland is range, because knowing your range and knowing whether or not you can drop on a target is vastly important. So if everyone wants to click in the very center of the map, it's FSW TAC 3C. If you right click it, you'll see a tab that pops open that says follow link, open new window, notes, system, jump range, and jump statistics. If you click on jump range, Black Ops, all systems, you now have a jump range map. I'm going to go ahead and link that as well here in a second. So that jump range map is what we link to our hunters as soon as we figure out what our jump range is of whatever system we may be at. So on this big map, you just see Providence, Catch, and Stain, which is in range. You just see circles and squares that are kind of hard to figure out where the fuck you're going on them. But this is a good overall just mass regional map that you can look at. If you scroll just below it though, you see jump range maps, and there's 3 options: Providence, Catch, and Stain. If you right click on Providence and you open it in a new window, when you open it up, it will have every single system that you can jump to from that FSW TAC 3C circled in a bold black circle. That means that we can go all the way up to YQB TAC 22, but we couldn't go to the pocket right below it, which is the SI TAC 189. So does everyone see the black circles and everything? Because it's really important to be able to know your jump range. Is there anyone that's confused?
Nope, safe.
We're good.
Okay. The other thing it tells you too is in the green bold circle, that shows you the system that you're at. So that way it's a pretty easy way of keeping track of where you're going. When I'm hunting, I like to keep a Dotland map open on one of my other screens. And as I'm jumping system to system, I actually keep an eye on which system I'm in. So that way, if I know I'm leaving FSW and I hit like G7A, that, I might, if I'm like the only hunter, I might go down and check out the lower right pocket before I make my way all the way over to the H9 TAC J8N pocket sort of deal.
All right, you locked on that part because I'm colorblind.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So which one is green? Show me that.
So H9 TAC J8N is green in the center of it. So the actual circle itself is green.
Right, and that color is different than IM TAC or ITAC M?
Yes, ITAC M GAB is red.
We're still looking at the delta kills?
Yes, at the delta kills. So like at the top, at IMGAB, and then right below it is 18XA.
Yep.
One is red, which is ITAC-M. The one underneath, 18X, is green.
Okay. I see the numbers. I'll have to go by the numbers.
Yeah, yeah. Look at the numbers, the plus or minus on there for you. And then the FSW TAC-3C has a green circle around it to state that's where our location is. And then everything else in the bold black circle means we can jump to it. And if there's no circle around it, that means it's out of jump range.
Okay. No. I was with you on the positive and negative. What I didn't notice was the green ring around FSW, but I see it now. I just have to look really freaking hard.
Yeah, it's kind of, I don't know, that crazy. And then as you hunt certain areas more and more, you'll become more accustomed to certain areas. I'm real good with Pravi and with drone lands, and pretty good with Gem in that area. But then like some of the other areas that we sometimes will hit up, like Tribute and not Dell, but Declan, I don't know those areas near as well, so I struggle a little bit. So the more that you know your area, the more that you know your map, the better off you are. Keeping a pad and pencil next to you and writing down, like if you jump into a certain system and you see a super cap, ratting, it's good to keep that written down and keep that knowledge somewhere. Same thing with Rorks, same things with carriers. So that way when you go into a system or into a regional area, you know, like, oh, there's a Rork that likes to mine over in this system. I've seen him there like 4 times. You just immediately go to that system sort of deal. So, part of it's knowledge base of just kind of getting used to what you're doing.
So, one more quick question on this. NPC kills Delta. Some of these, after the number, have a parens and a 5. What is that? Like KVP, for example?
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Honestly, I don't know on that one. Let's see, solve level. Okay, so that means as they probably increased it by 1 or decreased it by 1. I have to look into that, because that's definitely sovereignty level of some sort. But I'll ask on that. I'll ask someone else who might know.
I have a quick question as well. I hunted a couple of times with you already, and everybody's so quick in linking the systems. Do they have just as an in-game note, or is there a trick to?
Nope. Linking, you just hit the A next to your route and type in the location that you want to go to.
Yeah, exactly.
Just go. Some hunters are really quick about linking systems because they know the area. So, like, if we were to drop into Pravi, like, I would know that I want to go hit up that 5 kg tack pocket. I'd want to hit up the H9 tack pocket. Even that circular pocket, 18XA pocket would be good. I don't like going up to the YQB tack pocket because they always camp us in. Certain areas, even the Y9 TAC MD type area down there, sometimes that produces a nice little carrier for us. So like I know certain pockets to go hit up immediately. So as soon as I hear Pravi, already got my Pravi map open. I've already like started typing in my system before even the range map has been linked, sort of deal. If there's hunters that are going too quick for you, you can always, just say, hey, can someone link me a system for me to go to? And sometimes some of the more experienced hunters will do that for you. Generally, when Marshy's on, I like him to lead the HKs and basically link like 6 systems for people to go to, and each person picks a system. So again, part of it's just getting quick, getting quick and getting used to it. Yesterday I was feeling the heat because everyone kept linking stuff, and like by the time I figured out what system I was going to, one of the other HKs had already gone to his first desto and was on his way to the second desto, which is what I had linked, and it's like, God damn it. So hunting can be frustrating. You may not catch anything for many fleets. But as soon as you do catch something, it becomes more than well worth it. The adrenaline from it, all that is just, So the other thing I can tell you too about Dotland So the third tab that I should tell you, outside of the NPC kill delta and the NPC kill 24 hours, up towards the top of that drop down is active defense multiplier. An active defense multiplier means that someone is in a ore belt or a belt of some sort, and they have killed rats so they can continue to mine. So the higher that active defense multiplier is, the higher the likelihood that you're going to get a Rourke or someone mining. Now, that's not always the case, because, you know, you can go into an asteroid belt and you can mine and mine and mine, and if nothing spawns, then, you know, you haven't killed anything to increase that multiplier. Or if your tank's good enough and you just don't kill the things that are killing you or attacking you, then that active defense multiplier doesn't go up either. But that is another method of finding where people are at. So you use Dotland, and then you can cross-apply it with your in-game map with how many people are in system on the average in the last average 30 minutes. And that's kind of how you pick your systems.
Cal, I've got one comment on finding the systems. We may or may not try and hit up a staging system, and that would really depend on probably on how large the fleet is that day.
Definitely. And so, I mean, that's kind of giving your intel to the FC the best that you can. The more intel they have, the better they can tell you, yes, go to that system, go hit them up. No, don't go hit them up, that kind of deal. We know like 3 systems in Dronelands, for example, that we specifically tell people not to go to, just because their response fleet is larger than what we generally can take. Like there's a solar fleet mining area that we just went into one night, and not only did they drop like super caps on us, but when I warped to an asteroid belt just to warp off grid, they still had 15 Rourks sitting there mining, like completely just not caring that we're in their system, engaging like one of their other work wells and everything. So yeah,
they can be bothered.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, oh, we're just gonna keep mining and have fun. Go, you guys are dicks.
Russians.
So much you drop dreadnought fleet on them.
Yes. So that's pretty much it for the class-wise of what I want to go over with everyone. The next bit that I like to do, and since we're down to about 45 minutes, we'll kind of dick around with this for a little bit, but not too terribly long. But I tend to like everyone to go on to Sissy with me, and then come and tackle my carrier.
Warp drive active.
And scan it down and everything, just so you get the hands-on experience of how to tackle something and just getting used to it. I actually will fight back as well, so that way you can see what kind of damage you take. I'll say if you're not in a T3 cruiser, you can come tackle me, but I won't attack you because I'll kill you really quickly.
I was going to say, Cal, are you going to talk about overheating and blue pills and stuff?
Mm-hmm. Yep. I really tend to do that when I'm tackling people. So if everyone wants to pop on Sissy, I don't know if you guys know how to do that or not, but you can still be in-game with the account that you're using. Just tab on over to your EVE Online launcher, and the drop-down menu at the top, you'll have Singularity Test Server instead of Tranquility. And just click on the Singularity Test Server. It's going to ask you for your account password and info and all that stuff as normal. So just type all that in and go ahead and log in to whichever tune that you'd be hunting with. You know, eating the blue pill plus overloading your invulns makes a huge difference. So like when you're tackling stuff, you only want to tackle it through one cycle of your cyno. But on top of it, though, you figure you're going to have a fleet that's coming in with Falcons and other stuff to come help you out. So you need to survive long enough for that fight in and jam drones, which at times, you know, if you're just barely cutting it, those pills like will save your ass like none other.
Or if the blob strips itself.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So once you guys get to 6-C, go ahead and outfit your ship. Make sure you put a blue pill in there. Like make sure you put a blue pill. But what I'm going to do is jump over one system because the system we're in right now is really active. And so if you scan the system right now, which you guys can if you're in your Tengus or your ships, you want to scan stuff out. Scan in 6-C, and you're going to come up with probably like 8 or 9 carriers that you can warp to. And so yeah, once I'm over here in 6E TAC, I'll have you guys just warp on over here, scan me down, warp to me, tackle me, and I will engage you with my fighters, and hopefully you can live. And that's where you'll really see so when you scan someone down in the system, you're not recloaking, you just stay uncloaked, you let your cycle of your probes recycle, so that way you always have probes in your launcher ready to go. When you warp to a target, you're not cloaked either, so that way you're not accidentally landing on someone, waiting for the decloak 5-second timer, which always sucks. I like to make sure my invulns are turned on. I land, I tackle. As soon as I start seeing those fighters coming towards me, I will overload my EM and my adaptive invulnerability. And I will kind of let those stay overloaded and make sure I mitigate the damage a little bit. Along with that, if you're using the XLAB booster fit, because you only have 9 charges, there's no reason to waste a charge on doing it at like 90% of your shields. Wait till you get down to like 50, 60, 70%, so you get the full effect of the boost and not like lose half of the boost because you over-repped yourself, if that makes sense.
And don't auto-rip.
Yes, definitely don't have auto repeat on it. Have it so that way you are manually clicking it each time that you want it done. A lot of it is muscle control and muscle memory, just doing the same repetitive tasks over and over again to the point that you are doing things without thinking about them. And that's also why I have you guys come and do this, so that way you have some chance of knowing what you're doing and losing a ship here instead of not knowing what you're doing on regular server, losing a ship there and losing skill points or any of that fun crap.
So generally, do you warp at 0 or do you go warp at 10 or any preference?
I always warp at 0. And so like for a prospect, for example, though, for Alcara, I would not warp at 0 to a carrier. I would warp at 20 to a carrier. And do you have a long point on your prospect? Just a short point?
A couple of short points. I was going off the fit from the Bomber's Bar fittings, and it had this on.
Is it two short points then? No long point?
Oh, yeah. 2 short points and then a pop pod.
I would tell you go with one short, one long, and then on a carrier you warp at 20 and just hit them with the long point.
Yeah, and you couldn't burn straight at them because they might have a smart bomb. So like you could approach with a bit of an orbit.
All right, Akimi, hopefully you've got your stuff overloaded.
That's also one of those times you really need to be sure you communicate to your FC that you're not going to have point for very long, and that bombers or Arazus need to get point immediately.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, now imagine I've just walked in and I've pointed you, and we need to get the rest of the fleet in. How does the cynos work?
Go ahead and light one. As soon as you stop, your ship will stop moving. So even like the transversal that you're getting right now. Oh yeah, you have to.
Oh yeah, I need to be in a fleet. Do you want to just invite me, maybe?
You guys can start one.
Mr. Tengu, he can fleet with me.
Yeah. But Akimi, you're doing fine on your damage mitigation. Like, you see how it's kind of spiky? So if you're not used to carriers, they have pulse cannons on these Templars that are fighting and engaging you constantly. And about every 8 seconds, I have a heavy rocket salvo on each one. I manually click. Let me stop. Go, stopped on that. So not charges. Yeah, and see exactly. See, you see the charge fun side of everything. But the spiky damage is the heavy rocket salvos. And so, like, I'll let a little bit of the poke hit me from the pulse cannons. And then as soon as I see the big spiky damage is when I hit my XLABs and actually rep through that sort of deal. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I have to wait about 60%, I think. 60% shield left.
Yep, because otherwise you're gonna eat through your shield boosters too much. But you live more than long enough to light a cyno and get the fleet in. And like I said, you just have to live about 10 seconds. By then, a Falcon is generally in and saving your ass.
Last time, I wasn't able to use the blue pill, so I trained that up, and it does help a lot.
Helps a whole lot. Like that extra 20-30% is huge. And engage Buster first.
Shit.
I'm gonna try my Buster. Do you mind killing it?
Yeah, no problem.
Want to see how long it lasts.
Yeah, in fact, could you do the same for my prospect? Like, just give me 3, 2, 1, and then just kill me so that I can see how fast it goes down.
Yeah, let me kill Buster here real quick.
Fuck.
Overload.
I want
Eat
to
your
live.
blue pill. Eat your blue pill.
Oh, my blue pill.
Yep, I would have killed you real easy.
How are you being mean to them?
I'm being really nice. I killed anyone yet? I'm about to kill El Cara. I'm about to kill you.
I only killed a couple of people when we did it last time, and they got better much quickly. Much more quickly, rather.
Ooh, you survived a cycle. Holy shit.
Which system are we in?
2 cycles? No way.
Yeah, this is armor plated.
He's sig tanked as well.
Yeah, sig tank. That's what.
You're not going to be able to hit him at all. It's going to be horrible for you.
Now you're just shitty in a carrier cap.
There we go. So it took 3 whole cycles. So you would have been able to get a fleet in and all that.
Yeah, it was about 10 seconds or so. So it should be okay.
Oh, yeah.
By that point, your Razzie would have landed.
It's important that you actually bring your liquid oxygen or whatever to light your cyno.
Yes.
Because I just forgot that, and that would have been a rip.
Or Martian.
But most of the time when you hit a carrier and you tackle it, for example, and like let's say you do forget your ozone, you can just warp off. Like it's not like most of them have a tackle or anything, you know?
Well, at the start of fleet, they'll often ask people to link their fits in BBHK, and people can cross-check it.
So which system
make sure that it's actually your fit as well, not when you drag from advance. Then they'll be able to tell.
We're in 6E tack.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, may I? Yeah, so I walked in with my prospect, tackled you, lit my cyno. So presumably at that point I'm on the whisper screaming at my FC, my name, what, so on and so forth.
Yes.
And do I let my cyno cycle for just 1 cycle, for 2 cycles, just leave it running?
Turn auto cycle off and just do 1 cycle.
Cool. And 1 cycle, and then do you just immediately warp off, or do you stick around, or does it matter?
If there's secondary tackle on it, I tend to warp off, or at least get yourself to a point where you're aligned out and you can warp off. There's no reason to risk a billion-isk Tengu, or even a 500 million-isk Tengu, when someone else should be able to have a point like an Arazu or someone along those lines. I would have killed you so easily right there, Ben, just to let you know.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you not eat a blue pill, or?
I did not eat a blue pill. I apparently do not have skill to eat a blue pill.
You gotta remember, if you're surviving Cal right now, then you're gonna have to probably screw something up to get killed by a hunting carrier, because he's not gonna have as many missiles and he's not gonna be ready, and his drones may well be 100 kilometers away when you engage him.
Wait, don't shoot yet.
more often than not, the carrier will be lining up the entire time, and his drones are going to be such a long way away, they might not even get to you.
Yeah, unless he abandons those and deploys new ones.
And Cal, I'm scanning out the entrance right now.
Cool, thank you. I think Cyber's already scanned it out.
No, I'm scanning it again. And I don't know if you saw.
Apparently,
and like your sign that too when you guys land on me, so you can see because some of you are gain transversal a little bit. So when you're sitting dead still, you're gonna take more damage.
Yeah, the Olsen was not good.
No worries. Yeah, make sure you've overloaded at this point now. You've eaten your blue pill. I'd even overload your XLAB a little bit.
Okay, this time definitely try to kill me.
Barely holding, but you would have held Shiro.
Oh, that's not good.
Yep.
Third cycle, I'm going to bring you into armor, but you'd still rep. Maybe.
How, just for reference, there's a Gnosis camping the inside of the high-sec wormhole.
That's fine, I don't care about him.
Yeah, he'll be easy to kill if we get him. It shouldn't be a problem.
Alright, so on to Akimi. You said you wanted me to kill your buzzard, right?
Yeah.
Alright, so this is going to go real quick. Actually stop and light your cyno as well if you can. Just so you can get the full effect of everything. Yep.
Yeah.
Does such an adorable amount of damage.
Because you'll take more damage when you are not moving, obviously. I hate the manual control on these fucking fighters. The target is not within 12,000, blah, blah, blah. I don't care.
If I want to probe down your carrier, what's the best place to start?
If you were to, what now?
Practice probing down your carrier?
Just probe. Just get used to probing.
Where's your carrier located?
6E TAC 578. Right there, Buster. You would have lived through that pretty well.
Except there was a good 5 seconds when I landed and tackled you while you were killing the other guy that I forgot to light my fucking cyno. That would have been a problem.
Yeah, and some of it too is if you have your afterburner or your micro warp drive on and you go to light your cyno, it won't let you light a cyno. You have to be under 250 MS or something stupid.